Welcome to Invest Cincy. So right now, what is going on in the market in Cincinnati, especially in multifamily? We are seeing a large increase in inventory. So let me give you an example. About 4 months ago, I would say probably in February, inventory sat right around about 124 properties on the market in Cincinnati. As of just 2 days ago, we're at 177. So we see a lot more investors deciding to put their properties on the market for whatever reason it could be. It could be because they're retiring, maybe they're moving out of the area, or simply they need the cash. But regardless, we're seeing a large inventory influx in multifamily in Cincinnati. So what does that mean for you if you would like to sell your property? Well, it means you're going to have to be strategic. You're going to need to make sure that you find an agent to list your property, market it. That way you can get the quickest sale and the highest dollar amount. So what do we do when we are working with multifamily investors and selling their property? Well, there's quite a few things because we want to make sure we do a lot of the legwork ahead of time so we have the answers that any investor is going to ask us once we go live. So the first thing I do is I talk to the seller about the mechanicals and the deferred maintenance that might be with the property. What I ask them to do is get me a list of how many water heaters and how old are those water heaters. Do we have a furnace? Do we have an AC unit? And if so, how old are those? Do we know what type of roof we have? Do we have a shingle roof? Do we have a membrane or even a metal roof? And if so, how long ago was that roof replaced? We're going to look at the plumbing stack. That's more of a physical to make sure we don't see any rusting in which it's creating a situation where what comes to the plumbing stack isn't necessarily staying in the plumbing stack. So we want to make sure we have the age of everything that an investor is going to ask us about, because investors who buy, their number one question is how much deferred maintenance is there? Is that furnace at its end of life? Am I going to need to budget about $20,000 for that? Do the plumbing stacks need replaced? Maybe they've been leaking for a while and it hasn't been taken care of. Water heaters, yeah, they're fairly inexpensive, but we want to know how old is the water heater, how many gallons does it hold, and how long ago was it put in? Do we have the pan underneath? Do we have the expansion tank? The other things that we're going to look for investors are, is your electrical updated? Do you have knob and tube? And why is this important? Because a lot of insurance companies several months ago have truly decided they are not going to insure knob and tube at all. So if you choose to buy a property with knob and tube, they're going to give you about 60 days after closing to have the electrical updated. They're going to send out an inspector and they're going to make sure that the electrical has been updated and it's no longer a fire hazard. Same thing with Federal Pacific breaker boxes. Those are technically out of code. They're going to run you about $2,500 per breaker box to replace. So we're going to know all of that as well. Now, if the investor has physically not been in the property a long time, I'm going to ask them if I can go walk the property. I'm going to look at those mechanicals. I want to take a look at the basement, see if there's any evidence of water intrusion. We want to take a look at the exterior, see if maybe there's any deferred maintenance there. And we want to get a video and an idea of what the area is like. Now, in some circumstances, I might go back to a seller and say, hey, I think we really need to get an inspection prior to listing. And why would I do that? Because maybe during my walkthrough, I saw a lot of deferred maintenance, a lot of things that a potential buyer and a buyer's agent is going to try to price reduce me on because they're not going to want to pay out of pocket for those things. So when doing an inspection, as long as I make the seller aware that anything we find in this inspection, we are going to have to disclose. Even if you repair, we want to disclose the defect and we want to show how we repaired it. Now, if you don't want to make the repair, then we might simply use the inspection report to decide how low we need to go to get this property sold quickly. Because we have deferred maintenance, we want to make sure that we have properly adjusted our asking price to reflect the deferred maintenance. So we can go both directions on that. For example, I do have a gentleman in Avondale. We are repairing things. We're repairing plumbing stacks. We're putting roofers on top because this particular investor, he needs to get the highest price possible. So in order to do that, we want to go ahead and take care of any issues that could pop up in an inspection report prior to us listing. So we do go above and beyond that. So when the listing actually happens, I have what is called a CapEx report. All the improvements that the investor made from the moment they purchased the property to the day we put it on market. I might offer an inspection report if we did that, showing what the inspector found, as well as redlining what repairs were made. And if we didn't make the repairs, I'm going to note that and refer back to the price, which should be substantially lower than other like properties in the area that may have been updated. Once we get all that together, we do a 10-day coming soon. And why do I do that? Because we can tell from marketing and Black Friday, for example, that as humans, we are geared to basically the fear of missing out. We want to know what is coming soon, and if it's a good deal, we want to make sure that we take a peek at it beforehand, just looking at the exterior, driving by the area, so the minute it goes live, we're ready to show it and make an offer. So during the 10-day coming soon, we do the photography, we do the drone showing where the property is situated in relation to big things in the city, the colleges, the hospitals, Procter & Gamble and GE. We want to show you how close you are to those things. We are going to do interior and exterior photos. And if it's a large enough property, we're actually going to do a video presentation where I walk the property showing you maybe how the layout could be or the highest and best use for the property. So those are all the things that go in to getting the property ready to go live. I usually like to do a coming live on Friday, so we can do an open house Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But in some cases, we found that going live on Monday actually gets us a faster offer because serious buyers are going to be the ones who are going to maybe leave work early or go in late to check out the property. We want to make sure that we have rent roll. What are the current rents? What were the security deposits paid? And what type of renters are they? Are they Section 8? Are they year long? Are they month to month? So that we can show what's currently being paid in rent. And then we can also, if rents are below market, we can do a report showing what the market rents could and should be for those type of properties. Maybe it's a 1-bed, a 2-bed, or a mixed unit mix inside a 4-unit. Either way, we can show what the rents are currently, as well as what the rents could be in the future. And we want to make sure that if we have the opportunity, show added value for the property, whether it is coin laundry in the basement or whether it's actual laundry in unit. Does the property have off-street parking, which is very important, especially if you're going to do midterm rentals? And are we offering any furnished units? So there's a lot of legwork that goes into listing a property well before it ever goes live. The minute it goes live, we make sure it's on the Cincinnati and Dayton MLS, and we also put it on Crexi and LoopNet so that we are aggressive with the marketing. We're getting it in the investor Facebook groups, but we're also getting it out not only on the MLS, but it's hitting those third-party sites. So that's the thing, as an investor, we can get your property sold quickly and at a high price. We just need to make sure that we do all the legwork. So when we go live, I'm not calling you, asking you for age of mechanicals. I'm not asking you for lease terms. We have all of that ahead of time, making the sale very simple. So that is what's going on in Cincinnati and Dayton. Like I said, there is quite a bit of inventory coming in, but there's also a lot of inventory selling. So if you're looking at selling your property, let's schedule a call. Let's figure out what your objectives are, what you absolutely need to get done, and what simply may not be important right now. And let's get your property on the market. I look forward to working with you guys, and make sure you subscribe to the link below. We've got lots of videos coming out about lenders, appraisers, everything you need to manage your property, whether you're on the streets here in Cincinnati or you're managing remotely. We'll talk to you soon. Have a wonderful Monday.